Good morning. We're talking about developing world scholars right here in Chicago. As a matter of fact, we have two of those scholars right here, and we have the co-instructor of their program, World Scholars, with us. This is Osei.
Yes, sir.
And we have Layla. And we also have my man Zahir. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good. So tell us how we're developing world scholars. Tell us about your program.
Sure. Well, it's part of the Village Leadership Academy. We have a program called the World Scholars Program. We started in 2010. Okay. We felt that for our students, the world should be their classroom. Mm-hmm. So how do we get that to happen? Well, we take them into the world. So we have a class that takes place the whole year long, and these two students were members of the class.
Okay.
And they learned about the different areas that we go to. So this year, we just got back on Friday from Cuba. Mm-hmm. And so all year long, we're talking about the history of Cuba, the pre-colonial period, colonial period, all the way up to the revolution, and then the revolutionary period, and then actually what's kind of in this kind of quasi-transition period right now. So we talked about all these things. We learned. We had people come in and give us presentations. People had been there. We just had a professor come to the school right before we left and saw some films. And then we actually took the students to Cuba. So we were there. We had about 21 students with us, along with parents and teachers and other community supporters. We had a delegation of 44 people in Cuba. Really? And we went to Havana. And we were there for most of the time. We spent also 2 days in a southern town called Santiago. And it was an awesome experience.
All right, so man, I'd love to hear about it from our two young people here. Tell me, Layla, what did you experience in Cuba? How was it to you?
It was really cool seeing the different cultures between like the different places we've been, comparing it to Panama and the U.S. And it was cool to see how they like express their culture and how spiritual they are about everyone and how friendly they are.
Okay, so give me an example of like how it looked differently from what we're used to seeing right here in Chicago.
There was a lot of skyscrapers, which was similar to here and in Cuba, but what was different is the land wasn't the same. It wasn't as rich as here. Mm-hmm. A lot of there, they have like a little bit of improvement to do on their land. And it's different because the United States has impacted Chicago differently than because they didn't really impact Cuba at all.
Okay.
So they look a lot different.
Interesting. And Zahir, what do you remember? What did you like about the trip?
Well, what I liked about the trip was when we were at the trip, they didn't know that we were from America because all of us looked the same. And when we spoke Spanish, they understood us, but we didn't. But when we spoke English, they asked us and they loved that we were from America. And they're always asked, where are you from? Where are you from? We said Chicago, and they starting conversations with us, talking about how we can make changes and stuff, make changes in between Cuba and America. And we also wrote notes and explained and learned some Spanish and learned some English from both countries.
Did you really? Did you go there knowing some Spanish already?
Yes.
And then you say you learned more stuff while you were there talking to people?
Yes.
And like what? Give me an idea of what you learned.
Well, we learned we already learned like basic stuff. And during that, they started teaching us how to communicate often. Since we were there for a very long time, we were used to telling them and speaking to them.
Gotcha. Now, Layla, you mentioned something earlier. You talked about the spiritual nature of the people. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, when we visit a lady, I think she was from Africa, and she brought a lot of her culture and spirituality to Cuba, so it made it a more friendly and kinder place, knowing that people from African descendants came to Cuba and like enlightened the place more, so we felt a lot comfortable.
Gotcha. And did you spend a lot of time with young people there? Did you spend a lot of time with young and old? So did you experience a lot of ranges of people when you were in Cuba?
I think we experienced a lot of ranges of people because we had time to spend time with the people who are smaller than us and who are the same age. So we got to see how they do their stuff, and a lot of the older people too, to see their perspectives.
Got it. You've been learning about it all year. So in my mind, you had a vision of what it would be like when you ultimately got there. Was it what you thought it would be, or was it different than what you expected?
It's what I thought it would be because the people who visited us when we went there, because they've been there for a very long time, some people actually live there. They talked to us about how they look like, so I already had a picture in my mind, and it looked pretty cool.
Got it. What kind of fun did you have?
We went a lot to the pools, and we saw the different people dance, and I think it left a big smile on their face.
Did it really? And I'm assuming the food has to be fantastic, right? Did you eat anything that you wouldn't normally have here in the Chicago area?
The ice cream tasted a lot different, and it was like cool experiencing the cool textures and the delicious taste of the ice cream.
What does an experience like this make you think about your future as it relates to what you want to do when you become an adult career-wise?
I think it opens me up to the future because seeing like me do this stuff so young that other people didn't get to do when they were younger makes me feel like I've changed the world a lot and I know a lot about it. So when I go to other places, I get to experience and tell them my knowledge about different places so they can grow up and be leaders.
Gotcha. I'm 47. I have not been. You're how old?
10.
10, and you are 8 years old, and you've already been to places that I have not been to. I mean, that's pretty amazing to me, and I hope to get there at some point myself. What type of changes would you like to see in our world?
A lot more friendliness between all of our people because we do need to start treating each other fairly. Like everybody should be treated equally between white people, black people, every single race in the community.
And I'll say, how are we talking to the students about how we go about doing that? You know, what is it that we need to instill in young people at their ages in order to make that process happen?
Well, again, at the Village Leadership Academy, first our motto is tomorrow belongs to the youth who are prepared today. So that's what we try to do, prepare our young people to see the world and to see it how it is, and then again, as Layla just mentioned, how they want it to be. And so part of our World Scholars program is exactly that, is to be able to show them the kind of variance that's out there in the world. We've been to now 7 different countries in the past 7 years. And Layla and Zahir were in Panama last year. And so they're seeing these comparative and contrast between what they're experiencing here in the United States with all the great things that they have, but all the injustices that they also witness here. And then able to see, well, wow, and for example, in Cuba, we felt a lot safer than we feel in Chicago because people were kind of just all together. They were working together. So they're able to see that firsthand. It's something they experience. It goes beyond the textbook or beyond the classroom. And I mean, again, and also in the World Scholars Program, as a result of that, they're able to make those real connections with people. So again, it's not the classroom experience, it's actual one-on-one. They got a great opportunity to visit a small town called San Felipe, where they actually went on a community service project and they planted a tree to symbolize the meeting of these two cultures and the bridging of that gap. One of the things they also came back with is a charge to say, how do we support and help Cuba? How do we stand in solidarity with this country that with so little in the past 60 years and has been really isolated from the rest of the world, but is able to do some magnificent things, and we saw some of that. So they're on a mission now to say, well, let's stop this crazy blockade that's been going on against this country that, with these rich people that enrich in a different way, free education, free health care. You know, they're able to create a society, again, in isolation that is self-sufficient and moving towards that. So that's what we try to instill within our students, and again, what better example than to see it firsthand.
Gotcha. So you met people your age there. Did you keep in contact with them? Did you change email addresses? And will you continue to build relationships with the young people that you met?
We gave them flash drives that we put a lot of information on, our personal information, and they gave us back addresses and notes and letters. And so one of the things people kept on saying is that they were excited to have Cuban pen pal, and it was cool.
Let's just say they came to visit you in Chicago. What experience would you want them to see in Chicago? Zahir, what do you think?
I would think that they would be surprised, and that will be the start of how Cuba and America will get back together, because they will be able to see that where we are, there's differences, and why we say, wow, we feel safer here, instead of going back over there saying, while we have better buildings or things like that. We could just make it safer where they can feel like they're at home in here, and we can feel like we're at home with them in their country.
Gotcha. When I was your age, fairness was very important to me. What does fairness mean to you? What does that look like, would you say?
People getting along with each other, sharing and making friends, everybody treating each other fairly. You can have some of my stuff and I can have some of yours, and we'll exchange things and everybody will get along together.
Now, can we have a different opinion on something but still be fair with one another?
Yes. We can have different opinions. You can have your opinion on something and I can have my opinion, but as long as we get along and we're treating each other nicely and equally, then I think that's safe to say that's fair.
I agree. I like that.
And also, it is that we can't. So since that the blockade we're still fighting so it can be lifted. The blockade it will be lifted, but it should be lifted before Barack Obama is out of presidential reasons, because then that will go far out of hand.
Gotcha. You mentioned President Obama. Are you paying attention a lot to the political campaign that's going on right now?
Yes.
Is that something that you're involved in? Because when I was 5, when I was 9, I don't think I was that involved in politics. What do you think about politics? Is that something you might even be considered in?
Yes, also because politics is what can lead to better future. If the politics are right, there's no corruption. If there's no corruption, then we can do stuff equally and fairly.
So equality sounds like a big important thing. Fairness sounds like something. What are some of the other things that you picked up that are really important for people to get along and for people to work well together?
Trade.
Trade. What does that mean?
Meaning that we were able to give them something, and they were able to exchange something back. And although what we gave them was very good, but we didn't ask for something like very valuable of theirs. They gave us something back, and we gave them something back. Meaning that we gave them something that we thought they would like, and they gave us something that they thought we would like.
So when we went to the town San Felipe, they gave us paintings and different stuff to bring back to Chicago, and we gave them flash drives and information, and we gave them books, and also with their travel guides. They gave us a lot of information, and they helped us communicate with the people at the restaurant, and we gave them a lot of gifts. We gave them money because we know that they do need that. We gave them money, we gave them survival things, we gave them a lot of stuff, and I think that was very fair, and it felt very comfortable giving stuff to people and them giving it back to us.
You you learned about Cuba before, so while you were here, and then you went there. Now, what will you do going forward as it relates to continuing to learn about this place? Because I'm assuming that you have another place that you'll go to next year.
That's right.
So how we'll make it, we'll go from there, and when we do go back to all these countries, we will explain and show that we've been here and we made a change there, so that if there is any problems with where we went before, we will be with America and other countries, we will be able to show that and make it even quicker than before, because we experienced these places and made friendship with them already before anybody else can destroy it.
Question.
Question.
What's it like to represent Chicago when you go to Cuba?
Well, how it's representing. It represents us. It feels like we're coming from Chicago. We're a land that we don't even know that what's going on here. So there's no reason for us to act weird or mean to them, because we don't know how poor they are. We don't know if they're the people that are trying to help us or not. We haven't experienced them yet, so we have to be able to communicate with them first before we say no. Oh no, we can't trust them.
Layla, what's it like for you?
It's like we have to share and we have to bring the stuff that we learn from different countries to them so that they can experience different things, we can experience different things, and we all get to experience different things, different cultures in everyone. So it's cool to see different people's perspectives so we can bring it back to different people in different countries who can't experience these things.
A lot of people have a vision of Chicago as a very violent place. What message would you give to people? What message would you take to other places when you would describe Chicago? How would you describe it to people who may have this idea that it's super violent and it's a scary place to be?
That's why we go and travel, so we let people know we're not it's not a bad place, or what they heard is not what they heard from us. That's why we travel. We travel so that we can learn about other places, and also we travel to let people know they're welcome here, and we will be able to make trade and help each other one by one by giving them something that they need or they want, and they give us something that we want or what we need.
I think Chicago is somewhat a little violent, but that's why we're here to change the world and go to different places and bring back what we learned and try to change the world here so that people won't think that this is a violent place.
So what's next? What's the next place on? Do we know where we're going next?
Well, we're talking about. We're talking about a couple places. We've already been to the continent of Africa.
Okay.
We were in the Congo
Okay.
in 2011. People were like, "What? You're going to the Congo?" And then we were also in South Africa in 2013.
Okay.
So we're still formulating what's next year. I mean, it took us a year to figure this out, right?
Yeah,
But one of the things we are really involved in is what we call GRCs, which are called grassroots programs or grassroots. Campaigns. Thank you. That's why they're here. And so our grassroots campaigns have been something that we've been doing for a number of years, where the students in each of their classes, second grade, third grade, what have you, it starts at kindergarten. And they determine some of the issues and concerns in their own communities, and then work on a program to help address those those concerns. So I know you all have worked on things like violence. You've worked on violence. They've worked on homelessness. They actually presented a letter to past Governor Quinn about homeless youth, and he actually, we'll say, as a result of their actions, actually put some money in the budget to make sure that there's some allocations for homeless youth in school. We've done things around police brutality. We've been very involved around that and the violence that our young people are experiencing in the streets of Chicago. So those are the big things that we will continue to do that really build off of World Scholars Program and feed into it as well. So again, these young people were very well versed on some of the issues here in Chicago and could speak firsthand because they've been doing the work, so to speak, on the ground in the streets of Chicago, and say, hey, this is what we saw, this is what we know, this is the research we've done. So don't pay attention to CNN and all those other people, CNN, right? But listen to who we are and what we're experiencing, and work with us to find solutions, and that's what they've been doing.
Gotcha. Now here, 5 years old. Any idea what you want to do in the future?
Okay, I'm 8
Oh,
though.
8. Oh, I'm sorry. Eight. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Well, what I want to do in the future, basically, I want to be a lawyer and also do sports, because although if I do sports, I get money to help other people and build back on what should be done and stop wars from happening.
9. Am I right on that one? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry
10,
about
10.
that. 8 and 9. So
10.
10.
10. Oh, I'm messing up the ages. How did I get this wrong? Okay, 10. So what do you want to do?
I think I want to, like Zaire said, get money and try to help people who are homeless, which is part of our GRC programs, and help change the world between like different violence that's happening, help the Village Leadership Academy, different leaders who are starting out as they're young, so they can be like us and help people who do need the help and make Chicago a better, safer place for other people.
She's the president of our Alumni Association.
Clearly. Well, we hope you enjoyed it. This was a great conversation. We're talking about the Village Leader Academy. We're talking about future leaders that we have right here. Zahir, 8 years old, got that right, and Layla, 9 years old, and we have Osei here. I'm sorry, 10. I keep saying, what am I doing? 10. You're brilliant. And Osei here. So thank you very much for tuning in with us today, and we'll check back with you soon.